Hey guys, so as you may know, it is National Simplify Your Life Week. Where? I have no idea. But nonetheless, I decided to run with that and extend the theme of simplifying your life to some particular areas. And in today's little video, I wanted to talk about a few things you can do to simplify your website to maximize your results and your impact, and also the impression you have on your website visitors. So tip number one is to look at the number of categories you have for your blog posts. Now, obviously, if you don't blog, this tip may not necessarily apply to you, although you could technically look at pages and other types of things in a similar way. But if you have blog posts and you've got many categories, say more than 6 categories, I think you would really benefit from looking at them and seeing which ones could you actually group together under a main heading. If they are all so diverse that none of them can actually be grouped together so that you get your categories down to 5 max, maybe 6, then it could mean that either you've got a massive website and you may not really need this video at all, or it could mean that you are not niche down enough and you are talking about a lot of things. Now, if that's working for you and you're getting good traffic, good conversions, that is great. But if you're not getting good traffic, or you're not getting conversions, you're not getting people on your email list, you're not getting people to sign up for your offers, to buy your products, to invest in your services, to book a strategy call, whatever it might be, then you may want to consider cutting out some of those categories and really finding out what your readers really want to hear from you. The reason categories and not having too many is important is, one, obviously it is an indicator that you have niche down enough and that you have a focused blog. The other thing is also, when website visitors see your categories, if they see 10 or 15 different categories, it's going to be confusing for them. One, they're going to be thinking, well, what is the blog really about, especially if they are very diverse categories. And they could also be finding it difficult to find the content, like which category do they go to find what they're looking for. So that's my tip number one. Look at how many categories you've got and see which ones you can group together, see which ones you might want to cut out. If you have questions about categories, just DM me. I'd be happy to help you look at that. The second tip I have for you is to look at your navigation menu. If you have loads of things at the top of your website where people can click to get to different parts, that is going to be, one, really confusing for visitors, because like, where do you even start? It's just too much. And also it's going to be harder for you to push your website visitors into the places you want. So you need to think about, what are your priorities? Where do you want people to go? What are the first things you want people to see and to click on? What's the journey? And that way you can bring down the number of things you've got in your navigation menu so that it's really focused, really targeted, and you're making sure people go where you want them to go and that they're getting immediately the information that they want to see. For example, you may not think that your about page is so important, but for website visitors, in fact, that could be the number one page they want to see, because they want to know more about you. They want to learn and see, well, can I trust this person? Are you credible? Who are you? What's your story? Why should I listen to you? So think about your navigation menu. Think about where you want people to go and where they need to go in order to build the know, like, and trust factor, and also for them to really understand what your website is about. Then the third tip I have for you is to look at your sidebar. If you have a really, really cluttered sidebar with like loads and loads of things in it, this is of course assuming you have a sidebar, you might want to look at removing some of those things. It's going to declutter, and it's also going to, again, like the navigation menu, think about what you want people to do, what you want people to click on when they get to your website. So if you've got loads and loads of different links all pulling the reader in a different direction, they're probably not going to click on anything. But if you've got a few key things that you strategically place there that will draw their attention, that will work so much better. Especially when someone's, come to your website because they've clicked on, say, a social media link to your blog post. If you've got a sidebar in your blog post, so you want them to obviously focus on reading your blog post because that's why they came there. But think about then what's the next steps you want them to take. So in the sidebar, that can be a really good use of space to kind of indicate some other things for them to do, and so that they'll stay on your website. So it could be, for example, an opt-in form. It could be a link to another really helpful post or a resource you've created. It really does depend on your niche and your blog, but have a look at it and think about it, really critically. Like, is this directing people where I really want them to go, where they really need to go? And have a play around. You may need to, have some trial and error, some experimentation, but once you've got your sidebar really focused, really strategic, you're going to get better results, and your readers are going to have a far better experience on your website. So those are the 3 tips I have for you in terms of helping things with your reader. Now, with these 3 tips, what they also do is they simplify your website from a design, from an aesthetic point of view as well. So just to repeat, number 1, look at the number of categories you've got and see which ones you can group together to simplify them down to about 5 categories if you can. There isn't a magic number. You may need to have more than 5 categories, but have a look and make sure that they're all linked and that they group together and it makes sense and that there aren't too many. Then the second tip again is to look at your navigation menu and make sure it's simple, it's clear, it's showing people exactly what they need to see and nothing more. And your sidebar, that's the third tip. Look at what you've got in there, what you're linking to, what you're including, and get rid of anything that doesn't make sense there, and really just keep the things that are, because those are the priorities for you, that is where you want people to go next. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions about any of these tips or any other things to do with your website or the marketing you put on your website, please let me know in the DM. I'm so happy to help you.